Dunkirk is Christopher Nolan's newest film and the newest biographical picture centering around World War II. This film is directed and written, as I have said, by Christopher Nolan and stars Fionn Whitehead or something of that nature, Harry Styles, Mark Rylance, Kenneth Branagh, Cillian Murphy, and Tom Hardy. So, this was my most anticipated movie of the year. Would I still hold it up to that? I don't know. I think it's on the same level as, like, it was Baby Driver and Blade Runner 2049 and Kingsman. Those are the ones I'm most looking forward to for the rest of the year. But this was definitely really high up there on my anticipated list. And there's a lot of shit going around about Christopher Nolan. People don't like his last two movies being Dark Knight Rises and Interstellar. I like both of those movies. I think they're flawed. There are problems with them, but as a whole, I like both of those movies. I think they're both good movies. And I've seen some interesting things about Dunkirk. It has some of the best critic reviews I've seen in a long time, and all the while, on Twitter, I've seen a lot of reviewers kind of not loving it. Dan Murrell, who I followed, didn't love it. The Slash Film guy, Peter something, he didn't love it. And it was interesting to see the difference between those. So I was sort of going into this in a weird way. I usually see movies Thursday night. I had to see it today, Friday. This will go up later. My internet's down. But I saw it in IMAX. Thank God. This movie, I loved it. I loved this movie. I think it is a great movie. I don't know if I'd call it Nolan's best. I think that's a stretch. I think it's up there. I definitely do. I think this is a very, very well-crafted film for a number of different reasons. It's a very ballsy movie, too. It's something that we've never really seen before, especially in terms of war film. It really goes to a place that not many people probably expected this movie to go, especially from the trailers. Like, there's a certain format to this movie, there's a certain way that it's laid out in front of you that you might not actually expect. The one thing that, again, stood out to me in this film is Nolan. His direction continues really to get greater and greater. His direction here is at its finest. This is a beautiful movie. The cinematography is marvelous. If you get a chance to see this in IMAX, go. It is flawless in IMAX in terms of visuals. It is a beautiful looking movie. I plan on seeing this movie a second time, possibly in a regular theater to see what the contrast would be like. But I mean, IMAX, for me, it enhanced everything. It enhanced the visuals, it enhanced the sound design, which is great. The sound design, like, puts you dead center in this war. When a gun goes off, it goes off. Like, there are jumping moments in this movie where a gunshot is going to scare you because it's quiet and it comes out of nowhere. But, like, that's what war is like. You don't know when a gunshot is going to come ringing your way. Even when they're underwater, just the sound was so complemented by the IMAX. Just the sound designer did a great job. What the fuck is going on up there? Jesus Christ, it's like there's an earthquake. Where was I? Sound design? Yeah, so IMAX, I think Nolan did a phenomenal job with this movie. Everything is very meticulously crafted. Every shot is really, really well done. There's just a lot of stuff in this that you wouldn't see coming. The big thing is the script, or lack thereof. There really isn't much dialogue in this movie. It's pretty rare for characters to talk. It's a very visual film, which I liked, and when there is dialogue, it's well written, it's good, it's not bad dialogue in any way, shape, or form. It's just, it remains a quiet film so that you can see and feel as opposed to listen, which I think is kind of a really cool thing they did. I saw a lot of people bitching about that, and the people that complain about that are also the ones complaining about the lack of characters in this movie and people to grab onto and care for. I don't agree with that at all. I think, there are plenty of characters to look to and grab onto. There are a lot of emotional things that happen with the center characters. What the fuck is happening? I thought there were a lot of central characters to really care about, whether it was Tom Hardy, Kenneth Branagh, or like the actual teenagers and the kids and the people going through this. I thought there were plenty of people to care about in terms of main characters. But the reason that they're not, like, I wouldn't call any one person a main character, except maybe one. It's because I think Nolan was really trying to show off how big of an impact this had. There were 400,000 people on this beach that were in danger, and I think not centering on one group of people works for this event. Doing that in other films for different events works well, like Saving Private Ryan. Saving Private Ryan is a very specific part of World War II. It's about this group of soldiers going to rescue this private. Yeah, you're going to want to focus on a condensed group, but when you have a movie like Dunkirk, which is trying to overall showcase the entire thing, yeah, I think it's better maybe to focus on everyone as a whole as opposed to a specific couple people. And I think that's what this movie's trying to do, because that's never, I don't want to say never really been done before. In mainstream filmmaking, you don't see that much. Christopher Nolan has become a mainstream director, whether he's making an original piece of filmmaking or a sequel or some kind of adaptation. It's going to make money. This movie is going to make money, and it's going to turn some heads because of what it does and its ballsiness and in terms of the script. And the other thing being the format. The format is very interesting. It's sort of Steve Jobs, Moonlight, but like not at the same time. It's split into three. That's something you might have read about. There's a big thing about that being the format of this movie, and that's interesting. I don't know if that works as well as some of the other things, but I did like the idea behind that. I'll get into it. I'll get into that in a second. But I don't know. This movie does a lot of things to be important and to stick out among other war films, and I really think it does that. Christopher Nolan called this a survival movie more than a war movie. I don't know if I 100% agree with that. There's a lot of war in this movie. That's a very important factor of this film, but there's certainly aspects of that. All the performances are pretty strong. They're not really, again, because it's more so visual than like them talking. They're not given that many chances to really shine, but they do their job for sure. People are talking a lot about Harry Styles. He's really good. I think he did a really good job. I'm willing to listen to Christopher Nolan when he cast people, because everyone thought he was full of shit when he cast Heath Ledger as the Dark Knight, in The Dark Knight as the Joker, and now everybody shuts their mouths when he will cast someone like that. I thought all the unknown actors did a great job. Tom Hardy didn't have too much to do. He is behind a mask the whole time, flying a plane. But when he's given the chance to act, he does a good job. He's a great actor. Kenneth Branagh I thought was great. Mark Rylance I really thought was great. I thought he did a really, really good job. He was the standout for me coming out of this movie. Cillian Murphy's really good. Just the performances are all strong. There's nothing really special about them, but I thought they did a good job. Still shocked there was no Michael Caine in this. I really thought they were going to fit Michael Caine into it, but whatever. There are things about this movie that are flawed and that I don't like. Primarily, the one that kept sticking out to me is nonlinear storytelling. There's nonlinear storytelling in this movie, and that's become sort of a thing with Christopher Nolan, I guess. He kind of likes to do that, and he's very good at it for the most part. There's a movie poster behind me for The Prestige, and I think that is the perfect example of nonlinear storytelling. I think anyone who wants to make a movie in nonlinear storytelling should watch The Prestige. It's clear what time frame you're in, when you're jumping back, when you're going forward, when you're in the present time. It's always made clear where you are during that movie, and it makes it watchable yet interesting because you're trying to figure out how everything connects. This movie tries to do something different. It tries to make it so that you don't necessarily know what time frame you're in, and then there will be a reveal later. That worked for me once or twice. One time specifically that I thought it was really well done. But as a whole, it made everything more confusing, for me at least. Like, it sort of brought the movie down, because there were a lot of times where I was going, wait, where are we? Like, where are these characters right now? Is this happening at the same time? Are we cutting to a different time period, or are we in the same place? Because it's a lot harder to distinguish, seeing as like The Prestige takes place in Britain and Colorado and a jail, and this thing takes place pretty much within the same area. It very rarely goes outside of the area that it's set in, so it's a little difficult to tell. But it's an interesting concept that I'm not sure was used to the best of its ability. I want to see this movie again, and I want to see if I'd be able to focus harder, concentrate harder, and really, like, see the actual nonlinear storytelling, see if I could put it together in my head. Nolan movies usually require a second watching. Memento requires a second watching. The Prestige it definitely helps to have a second watching. Inception, you understand more. Interstellar is one you have to watch at least twice. And I think this is one too, if you really want to completely understand everything. And I'm willing to let that slide, I guess. It is a problem with the movie, in my opinion. It did bring it down a little bit for me, but if I see it a second time and I understand more, I think I'd let it pass a little bit. But if I don't get it and it's still the same problem, it's going to remain a problem for me. The other issue I had is the ending starts to drag a little bit, and that's not necessarily a problem with the story, I would say. Because this movie is an hour and 50 minutes. I think it might be Nolan's shortest in terms of feature-length films. I don't know if Following qualifies. It probably does. But it's the only one I haven't seen. But the ending dragged for me because there are a lot of "and so it was" moments where the music is like swelling and you're like, oh, this is it. This is the wrap-up, and then something else bad happens. And obviously that's actually how the war probably went. I don't know that much about the event, but I could assume that's probably what actually happened. But for me as an audience member, and I consulted my friends about this after we saw it, they kind of agreed with me to where it was like, yeah, it was starting to pull a little bit. It was starting to bite off a little more than it could chew towards the end in terms of length, and like really pushing it in terms of being long. And if they were going to do that, maybe even have a longer running time so that you're not in your head going like, this is an hour and 50 minutes, right? And like, I was right about that, because it doesn't feel like it. It feels a lot longer. It feels like a good 2:20 maybe, especially towards the end. I don't know. And I usually can feel movie run times too, and I did not feel this one. It felt much longer than it actually was. But those things aside, this is a very, very well done movie. It's something new, it's something interesting, it's something I think a lot of audiences are going to respect and appreciate, and some will enjoy. Like I said, I'm going to see this movie a second time, hopefully over the weekend. I'm going to see Valerian tomorrow, and then get that review up and see Dunkirk a second time. If I have a completely different opinion on it, I might even make a video about it. I do want to see it on like a regular screen, just to see what the difference would be. But as of right now, I can definitely recommend this movie to you. I say go check it out. It is a great, great film that is masterfully directed by a great director, one of the best working today. I will say, to the crazy Nolan fanboys who are sending death threats to people that don't like his movies, calm the fuck down, okay? Just relax. People have their own opinions. I like Interstellar. I like The Dark Knight Rises. I understand why people don't. I get it. The movie has its dislikers. Unless you're one of the fucking assholes that doesn't like The Dark Knight Rises because it's not loyal to the comic. Fuck you. If you're one of those people, you shouldn't be watching comic book movies. Fuck that. I thought it was made clear by Nolan in the first two movies he was straying away from the comics. If you have like a problem with the storytelling or an actual problem with the filmmaking, alright, I respect that, but if you don't like The Dark Knight Rises because of it's not loyal to the comic, fuck you, because that's stupid. But yes, get out to the theater to see Dunkirk. I highly recommend it. It lived up to the majority of my expectations, despite me having some problems with it. So, what did you guys think? Did you see Dunkirk? Did you not see Dunkirk? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.